Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Tech Report. This time, Captain's Holiday. Oh yes, a little getaway. Captain's Holiday on this episode of It's All Been Tech Report. You want to get a holiday for all of us? Go to patreon.com/IBD. Support the network. Support this show, and you earn your own holiday with bonus episodes of this show and many other special features. I'm a member. I support myself. That's not a joke, and neither is this. This is Captain's Holiday on It's All Been Tech Before.
Welcome out to a new episode of It's All Been Shrek Before. Your regular hosts are here.
This is Steven.
Keith.
Jimmy-Jerome. We are here to talk about the episode Captain's Holiday, which, funnily enough, we record this the week of Christmas. Yeah. I know you guys are going to hear it months and months in the future, but holiday, Christmas, for you guys, it'll be like a late Easter episode or an early Memorial Day. First impressions on Captain's Holiday.
It was a weird episode. It was, I think I liked it, but I definitely didn't love it. There are a lot of elements I like about it. We'll see if I end up liking it.
Was Vash one of the elements you liked about it?
Yeah, that was Jennifer Hetrick, the actress.
Yes.
Yeah, I did appreciate her. And and the whole planet was interesting, and Riker was just out of control. So
That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah, which I very much enjoyed. Lots of great Bill T stuff going on here. But yeah, I thought it was weird, but it did keep me engaged. It was just a weird, I feel like we've had some heavy's not the right word, but maybe deep episodes lately. And this was very much felt like, I wrote Shore Leave right off the bat. And, Shore Leave has more serious, that's a different conversation. But anyway, yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
I guess I'm surprised that Steven didn't like it more. I'm sure that's part of like the stereotype, for lack of a better word, or the character bit for the show. Yep. You expect Justice 2, I'm in. That kind of. But
that was one of my thoughts right off the bat. Was like, what planet are we on here? All right.
Eventually, I got to the point where I said maybe it's almost like they're doing a romancing the stone, especially with the Ferengi being sort of like the Danny DeVito. I enjoyed it. A lot of what Steven already said, the out of control Riker, and I've got a few things to say about the opening, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo you both. I guess I like it. I don't know that I go so far as to say love it. Certainly not the top of the season.
No.
Love Vash, and I agree with Keith. I really thought that Steven would come stronger for the episode, just because of the eye candy and elements and stuff. Many of them weren't blonde, so maybe that's the missing piece here.
To that point, and I have more on this later. So when Picard finally gets down there and he passes the one woman and turns around, I literally did the same thing technologically. I rewound to watch it and was like, did I see what I just think I saw? And I was like, I'm still not sure, but I was like, yeah, like that's where I wrote down Bill Teese. It would make Bill Teese proud the way those outfits. So.
Well, it's a vacation planet, and unlike Shore Leave, it's not a dangerous vacation planet. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure for the rest of the Star Trek franchise, anytime people go on vacation, this is where they go. Yeah. Like Ryza is a thing that's not going away anytime soon. We'll definitely see other characters vacation there. You probably didn't notice, but Michael Dorn vacationed there without his Worf makeup.
I saw that in the credits. I wish I'd gone back to look for it, but
Google image search Michael Dorn Captain's Holiday, and there's a janky freeze frame from a Netflix that you'll be able to see where he was and what he was wearing. It was near the beginning of the episode. It was like right at the beginning of the episode.
Oh, I see him. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what Worf looks like. Or what it looked like how many years ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I enjoyed that, especially because it was, he does, that's, to my knowledge, the only time he appears in Next Gen without his makeup, which is pretty cool. I believe he does an episode of Deep Space Nine without his makeup, but then everybody does. Geordi and Wesley were credit only in this episode. So, with the heavy focus on Picard, we didn't get a lot of the other characters. So I guess that's a nice way for Michael Dorn to work a little bit more. We start with a shot of the idol. I don't know, to me, I immediately thought fertility, but I didn't know if that was because it's what I knew about Ryza or if that it looked like a fertility symbol. What do you think?
It definitely does.
The Horgon.
Yes.
I thought I had my Coco Pelli, which is I believe the Navajo fertility thing. I used to have it sitting over here, but I think I had to move it. Yeah, I think that's a good call. It does look like I didn't
Well,
think that when I first saw it, but yeah.
In case that wasn't explicit enough, they immediately also show you a statue of wrestlers, if you noticed, on Ryza. That's where they skimmed over to next.
That's hilarious.
And the Vorgons beam in, and all I could think of was, man, they're overdressed for this place.
Well, they're there on business.
Apparently, their history research only went so far.
But, okay, so I get that they're there on business and everything, but you'd think somebody would notice them, and yet nobody seems to notice them. I don't know. I felt that was odd.
That is weird.
They have very foldy faces, which is fun.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
When we get back up to the Enterprise, Picard's just finished mediating a really tough treaty. And apparently Troy was there, but they're all giving Picard the credit. I kind of liked that tidbit, even though we didn't get to see it, which kind of disappoints me because I know that Picard is this great mediator. We've heard this before, great diplomat, but we haven't got to, it's been a while since we were reminded of that. And I thought it was a nice character development bit.
Yeah, I know we've talked about it a little because, I guess, and I'm glad you said it that way because that kind of goes to my note, which was, should captains be ambassadors? I know I've said that before. Picard obviously should be. And so maybe it's that guy we'll have as an ambassador, whereas, your run-of-the-mill captain, maybe not so much an ambassador. I mean, in some sense, they are ambassadors to an extent, but
so I can't see Kirk wanting to be an ambassador.
No. He is only if he has to be. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Didn't they use that? It felt like they've used that as a plot device before.
I think so. What was weird about it, though, is he's the captain of the flagship. And yes, he needs to have some diplomatic skills because he's seeking out new life. But this was a 2-week conference that he was mediating, and you just let your flagship of 1,000 people sit idle in orbit?
Right.
Feels like Riker should have gotten the mission or something.
Yeah, and so is Riker coming back from somewhere too at the top? I can't remember. Oh, wait. No, Deanna was gone.
Yeah, she was with Picard.
That's what I'm thinking of. Because they have this weird, we hold hands, not hold hands thing. Like, they started to hold hands, and then they stopped real quick. And I was like, that's interesting. And maybe that's just how they say hi.
They were really chummy in this episode.
Yeah, they were.
I would have liked to have seen them on Ryza.
It was very cute. I liked it. I just thought, oh, that's an interesting little touch to the episode.
When we get to the bridge, I wrote down where's Wesley because it was so weird to not have him at the station. But of course, he's credit only for this episode along with Geordi. So we didn't get to see him.
We mentioned shore leave early on, and this very much echoes it, not only because it's a shore leave planet, essentially, but in shore leave, it's McCoy telling Kirk, hey, you need a vacation. And he's like, he says the same thing. There's somebody on the ship who needs time off, yada, yada, yada. I say that in a good way. I like that echo, though the rest of the episode goes a different direction, obviously.
Yeah. Picard is an expert negotiator, but he's a really bad partier. He's really bad at celebrating his success because they're just like, congratulations. He's like, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. I feel like if he's as good a diplomat as they say he is, and he enjoys it as much as we're led to believe, he should be all enthused.
I thought they worked a little too hard to make him seem like a grump in this episode. I mean, there are certain times he does seem like a stick in the mud, but I think we've seen that he can be a guy who enjoys things. And I thought it was so much to sell on this guy really needs a vacation thing. And then Riker's giving him crap about what he wants to do. It's like, some people, that's how they like to unwind, Not everybody wants to go, not everyone wants to go bang everyone on the planet, Riker. I mean, you do your thing, let Picard do his, and get off this bag. Everyone's like, oh, that's some vacation. It's like, yeah, maybe that is what he wants to do on vacation.
You go to a symposium and hear speakers and stuff?
I mean...
Yeah, I agree with you, Steven. I think they were trying too hard to make him need it, whereas I feel like you could just make the case like, hey, it's been a year or 2 or 3. You haven't had a vacation just for mental health, whether you think you're fine or not. I don't think we needed to see him get stressed out to force the vacation.
And I thought Patrick Stewart did a great job just in his demeanor and his voice and, dare I say, acting. Weary and fatigued. I was like, this guy does need a little rest. He needs some actual rest.
Yeah.
And he doesn't need people telling him, here's what you need to do on your vacation, because, hey, he literally needs rest. He wants rest. Get off the guy's back. And what is wrong with reading on vacation? Isn't that what everyone does?
Nope, they don't have nerds anymore. Once you get to that, like,
I think everybody that doesn't have kids reads on vacation.
Yeah, and watching, I couldn't help. Obviously, other than this year, Colleen and I usually go to a warm destination in the winter in November, and all we do is read and get drunk all day long every day. Is that okay, Riker? Is that all right?
No.
No,
Starfleet is all jocks now.
Yeah.
I guess I should try and be. I should just be ogling all the other women there, or trying to work out what the dance is going to be that night, or that kind of stuff. No, but yeah.
You talk about Picard wanting to do things. He just says he hates vacation. Why not say, I hate vacations like Ryza. I like my type of vacation.
Yeah.
Nobody hates vacations. No. You just have vacations that you like versus vacations you don't.
I've seen them do certain character arcs where people are workaholics in a certain way. We've seen actually a really good Bob's Burgers episode like that, with them trying to force Bob to take a vacation, or at least just a day off. And that was either they like their work in a certain way, or they're control freaks, or they just don't, to keep busy, to keep the noise out of their head, that sort of thing.
I feel like Picard has usually I felt like he has a good work-life balance, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And, we mentioned Kirk. I think he's always thinking about the ship. He's married to the ship, after all. Although Kirk obviously knows how to have a good time too. So, he obviously, even on company business or whatever you want to say. So
yeah, Kirk has his vacations during his work.
He does.
I do think it's a good move they send Dr. Crusher in to talk to Picard, because not just because she's the doctor, but because he actually will probably listen to her more than anybody else.
Yeah.
But then the follow-up on that, of course Riker knows about Ryza. That was not a surprise at all. And I enjoyed him and Troy double teaming Picard with the Troy's mom gambit, which you knew was false, except we know Troy's mom's coming back in a couple episodes. So there's that part of you that's like, oh, cool. I like the shout out. But I like that Picard saw through their gambit too, though, and was like, no, I know what you're doing. You're not, it's not like he's just like, it would have been funny, but a lot less realistic if they said, oh, Troy's mom's coming. And then he goes, okay, well, then I'll take a vacation. Yeah. I like that it wasn't that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noted something similar. It's just, it seemed during that beginning sequence, it was a lot of sort of like an uncharacteristic kind of sitcom thing that they were doing. Yeah. And it was fun that they were doing it. And it's also, I think what helped sell it for me was, like you said, that it didn't work.
Right.
That
I mean, it worked, but not
right. I mean, it's
way.
Not in the obvious. It didn't stretch Picard's character to that extent where, like, oh God, whoa,
he's not a dummy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But there was that great line where Picard confronts Riker about it. And he's like, does the whole ship in on this? And Riker's like, well, there's 2 ensigns down on deck, whatever, that don't know about it.
No, that was hilarious. I thought that was really hilarious.
Good. It was really good.
That said, though, it was a missed opportunity for a great jump cut. From the bridge, talking about Deanna's mom to him just being on the planet.
We ran into the situation here again where an entire planet, and Ryza is supposed to be like a whole pleasure planet, is condensed to this one hotel and area with very few guests and very few staff members. And I guess it makes sense the Vorgans know the right hotel to go to, but still it felt like a very tiny place. Maybe it's the vacation destination that only people like Riker know about now. And then in a few years, it'll really build up.
Well, I mean, I think that it's just a common conceit, even for just modern day type things. If you say you're going to Acapulco or something like that, you go to one hotel, and the show is just, you understand that there are other hotels around. It's just, here's where you are.
Yeah. I will say that we usually go to an all-inclusive, and we rarely leave the premises.
To me, it just looked like such a small place, and I feel like, that's the budget of the time. But if this happened today, we get big camera crane coming in from up top. There'd be hundreds of people at the pool.
Yep. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have liked to have been outside, because why are you in swimwear inside?
I thought that was outside.
No, they were like poolside most of the time, it looked like, or something.
Poolside, but it felt like they were inside. Yeah, to me.
Yeah, it was like a courtyard, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. How about our first introduction to Vash when she grabs Picard and plants one on him?
Intriguing.
I mean, she's a beautiful woman.
She is.
Jennifer Hetrick, as Steven mentioned, played Vash. This is the role she's best known for.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a one-off. We see Vash again.
What?
That's what I thought I saw. Yeah.
Yeah, she'll be in another episode of The Next Generation, I think next season, and then she also does an episode of Deep Space Nine as well.
She was in a movie. One of her earliest credits was a movie called Squeeze Play, which I remembered. So I went back and looked it up. It was one of those sex comedies around the time of Animal House and all those. I remembered it because it was Siskel and Ebert had it as one of their dogs of the week. And then at the end of the year, it was one of their dogs of the year. It was so terrible. And it was so terrible that it was one of the handful of movies that Gene Siskel ever actually walked out on.
Really?
So, I don't think it's a commentary on Jennifer Hetrick. I think it's more on the movie, obviously. But it was, like I said, it was one of her first roles. So 2 of the executive producers on the movie demanded that their names be removed before the movie was released. That's
Ouch.
Yeah. So the woman that's going to attend to Picard's needs, not needs, but checks him like, hey, I think you want to have sex or whatever. She was also in, I don't think she was in a bunch of teen sex movies. She was more in like a couple of those Skinamax type movies as well. I don't have her name written down, but so you can see the kind of research I was doing last night. So actually I was just looking up the actresses and that's what came up. But yeah, I thought, yeah, you guys are right. I really liked her character. She was fun.
She was a good match for Picard because she was smart.
Yes, exactly.
And she was into archaeology, which he's into.
Yeah, she wasn't just a hot bimbo, and yeah, that goes to Keith's thing. There's kind of a romancing the stone, kind of, but Vash is the Michael Douglas, and Picard's more the Kathleen Turner.
I really wish this actress had got more work. It's a shame her number of credits.
Yeah, I saw she kept working, but I thought
it looks like there's a lot there. I mean,
like
I thought there would be a lot bigger credits, I guess. So
yeah,
now,
it's just one.
Now I'm nitpicking whether they're good credits.
I mean, she did an episode of Buffy, so that's good. But
she had recurring roles in L.A. Law.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, and there was one. I thought it was her. There was one other one. She was kind of a regular on, but yeah, she's working actress. She did okay.
While we're talking about guest stars, there's one other I want to mention. I mean, the Vorgons, I didn't recognize them. They don't have a lot of credits, but Sovak, the Ferengi, was played by Max Grodenchik, who is best known in general public life, according to IMDb, as being in The Rocketeer, but he's best known to Star Trek fans as Rom, Quark's brother on Deep Space Nine. He's in 37 episodes of Deep Space Nine. Major reoccurring role. He will do one more episode of Next Gen as a different character before he moves over to DS9, but it's funny because we've had Quark, his brother, Armin Shimmerman's guest starred several times already on Next Gen as Ferengi and other characters. And then here's another guy who ends up playing a very famous reoccurring Ferengi. So
I'll tip my hand a little bit. I found him very annoying, but I also found him very entertaining. So yeah, I
will say Rom is nothing like this guy. They're two totally different types of Ferengis.
Okay.
So,
but I thought he did well, and I'm glad that means that he got to do more work for it.
Certainly. He did great playing the creepy, greedy Ferengi, but I like him much better as the Ferengi that likes humans and doesn't like greed and money and cares more about family than wealth that he plays in Deep Space Nine. When Picard beams down and we see the Vorgons again, they still haven't changed their clothes. So again, I'm like, they're really standing out here, especially because, and I thought this was kind of I'm sure it was a budget thing, but it was almost all humans at the resort. So these aliens in these full clothes would really stand out.
It would have been even funnier if they were in swim gear.
Yeah.
Or like they beam down and you see them or whatever, you see them in their regular clothes and they just duck into one of those, all those resorts have swimwear shops or whatever. And they go in there and they come back out and actually I would have had it, since we know gender is binary, I would have had them in the wrong swimsuits and then they go back in and they have to switch back.
He's in the Bill Thies original.
Yeah.
And actually, she's in the open robe that would break network sensors.
This is a better alternate episode than what I had, which was, this just reminded me of like an episode of Remington Steele. They just kind of took one of those scripts and threw some Star Trek in there.
Well, while we're on the subject of fashion, as you were saying.
I have many fashion notes.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that the resort wear seemed fairly modern. I mean, modern to us is just, bathing suits and nothing really too wacky and alien.
I feel like by that time, there'd probably be more topless people.
Perhaps.
Yeah, I thought it would be a more Risa, especially the way Riker described it. See, and maybe maybe those beaches, I'm sure those resorts exist there. Picard just didn't go to one of them.
Yeah, I have a feeling network standards kept this from being the planet that it really would have been.
Like I said, that first woman that passes him, I was like, is she wearing any kind of bottoms? It was already late, so I refrained from doing a Zapruder film type analysis of it. But like I said, I just wrote down Bill Teese would be proud. But I thought those were really cool because they looked like little raincoats, but then it gave the impression like their bathing suits must be skimpier than they are or whatever, which I thought was kind of a cool thing. I like Picard's leisure wear.
Yeah.
I'd wear that around. And then I also, as somebody who, I don't like long shorts, I don't like long swim trunks. Picard had those short trunks. Hats off to you, my man. Hats off to you, Picard. Hats off to you, Patrick Stewart.
That was the style back then.
Yeah.
In the 24th century. I mean, the 80s.
Right.
So the little short swim trunks. And then basically not much else.
Yeah.
And I have a pair of H&Ms, and I need to get some new ones, but they're much shorter because I was always telling Colleen, I'm like, I hate these long shorts. I'm like, I already don't have legs as it is. If you put these on me, I have no legs. I have knee to ankle, and that's all you see. Why am I doing leg day? The kids, whatever they want to wear, God bless them. That's just what I wear. But
I like long shorts myself.
Yeah, well, there you go.
To each their own.
Exactly.
I like their archaeology wear too, Picard and Vash.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's where I started thinking of romancing the stone. The whole let's go to the jungle and find a rock, essentially.
I'm pretty disappointed that Vash's action figure has a dress from her second appearance instead of her archaeology outfit from this one. When we came back from a commercial, that camera really lingered on that bikini girl, kind of getting up slow.
Yeah. I again in my research, I can't find anything about this woman. But it lingered on her so long. I was like, is this a commercial for something else? What is going on here? And then she doesn't even get a line in the show.
I liked Sovak's outfit too, the Ferengi. I think this episode was aces on fashion and costumes.
I completely agree. Yeah.
Other than the aliens that beamed in with the Foley faces,
they were just,
the Vorgons.
Yeah.
Every time I say Vorgon, it reminds me that maybe they were trying to build a highway through Ryza and we're just coming to let them know. Keith.
Yeah, the Vogons and hitchhikers.
Yes, close. Vash slipping Picard the disc was so cliche, slick. Yeah.
I love those close-up shots that don't seem like they could be possible in real life, just to show you what has happened. Like the exact, it's like they're that slick they can do it, and like
she did it a lot smoother than Beverly Crusher slipped something to somebody in season ago or whatever.
Yeah.
The Vorgons say they're from the 20th century, and Picard seems to believe them like immediately just because they know a legend that he knows.
Yeah.
I wondered about that sort of, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad they didn't waste the time with him trying to figure out whether they're telling. It's like you're not going to know one way or the other. Let's just hear the story and let's get on with it and decide from there what you think. And that's the practical way of going about it, I think.
I'm fine with that, except I feel like Picard could have got dispensed with that without buying into it. And I think it seemed pretty obvious to me that he bought into the story immediately. I like Picard taunting Vash. That was really fun. Interested in the when they're talking about the future relic, and I don't know. But it did at this point start to feel like a holodeck episode to me. We could have just done this on the holodeck. You didn't actually need to go to Ryza.
And doesn't somebody say like we
Crusher, I think, mentions at the beginning.
Yeah.
Riker, I think Picard says he'll spend a few hours in the holodeck. Right?
Oh,
that's not the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it was Crusher who said it wasn't the same, but
it's much more dangerous.
It was Picard who said it.
I did enjoy the chemistry between Patrick Stewart and Jennifer Hetrick. I mean, him giving her an order and she's like, she's trouble, but he can handle trouble and all that stuff.
Yeah, I did too. He says the Taylor Swift line to her, more or less. He says, "From the moment I met you, I knew you were trouble." Her line is, "I knew you were trouble when you walked in." From the song "I Knew You Were Trouble." So I was like, "Oh, Taylor Swift borrowing from Star Trek." Star Trek borrowing from Star Trek. I think it's Picard around the same time tells her, "You're outrageous." And she's like, "Thanks." And I'm like, "Yeah," because she's like, "I'm Michael Connor. I'm outrageous." Like, yeah. She was, and she actually was. She was rogue. She was roguish. If she wasn't a woman, if she'd been a man, they'd have kept saying how roguish she was.
About to say they didn't even have to they didn't even have to tell us, the audience, that she was roguish. They just came across.
That's how you show and not tell. You just let her do it.
Call her because she's a rogue. Picard punching Sovak was a fun little moment too.
God, that was so weird. I had to read this.
It was, but I liked it.
Yeah, the form of that punch, but yeah, it's.
I mean, there's a lot of funny stuff in here that maybe doesn't quite hold up to scrutiny or is super cheesy, but I still found it super enjoyable.
Well, I mean, I think it's true to form for what was going on, the type of episode it was, and they were kind of playing with that. So
I kind of enjoyed that Vash was a sneaky double crosser who cheated Sovak too. And I know she had her justifications, which to me didn't hold up. I'm sure to Picard they didn't hold up. I was surprised he jumped into bed with her so quick, though.
One of my notes about, well, not the bed part exactly, was that this revelation comes about when Sovak confronts them. And it wasn't like they didn't waste time with Picard going, oh my God, how could you? And what? And even when they went to the cave, it wasn't about that. It was, he didn't care, or at least
I think he had her number the whole time.
But I mean, he did. They didn't waste time showing us that. It was just like he was quiet. They let her come to him and start to talk about it, and then it was, I'm not shocked. Done.
No.
And more importantly, he's not scolding her about it. That's what it was. It was it's just a thing.
I mean, why would he? Because, like I said, I don't think she tricked him for a second. I think just by her introduction to him with the kiss and everything, I think he had her number from the beginning, but he did find her attractive. He found the mystery and the legend thing intriguing. He was just going along for the ride, and he didn't care about screwing her over because he knew she'd do the same to him. Like, he was just like, okay, this is a fun little diversion. I'm going along with it. That's how I took it. Like, I just thought Picard understood what he was in for.
Yeah, I thought and I wrote down at one point in all caps, worst vacation ever. But if you're into adventure, then it was a good time. And that's what he was like, you know what? I mean, that's more his style.
Yeah, he enjoyed it.
He was annoyed. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But they did only bring one bed with them on their trip when they hiked. So, like, the sex was it had to already be understood was going to happen.
And they didn't bring any pillows either.
Yeah, that annoyed me more than anything.
Yeah.
I guess you can't really carry pillows.
Yeah, you got to save space. I don't know how much I thought that he knew at any given time. I wasn't as clear about that, but to me, it seemed like that at least he was along for the ride. That part, I certainly agree with. It was just, that's what I like, that he was taking in the stride regardless, whether he knew or not.
And see, that's the thing I think that bothered me about him believing the Vorgons so easily is he doesn't believe Vash easily. He doesn't believe Sovak easily. Like, he knows what's going on with them, but the Vorgons, they're like, we're from the future. And he's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I get it. No.
He should at least ask for like the final scores of the future football games so he could bet on a couple.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they were from the future. It's just they weren't like altruistically they weren't like officially there.
If they'd had a newspaper, they could have showed him, just been like, here, we're from the future. And be like, oh, January 31st, 2022. Okay.
But you can't just replicate a fake newspaper.
Come on. How are you going to do that?
How would you know what's going to happen? You don't. So
what I found oddest about the Vorgons was when they appeared in the cave when Picard and Vash were digging and Sovak was holding a gun to them. And it's like, why didn't they just take the gun away from Sovak? Why did they let Sovak keep a gun on him?
That's what I thought. I was like, do you guys have any kind of powers? What aren't you guys advanced? Come on, do something.
Well, for safety, they can't move from the spot that they appear in when they come back. They have to stay there, or they're going to affect something, or when they jump back, it's going to mess with the coordinates.
They're afraid they'll step on a butterfly or something.
I was very disappointed when Vash rejected Picard back at the hotel. Rejected? I mean, I get it was to make her escape, but she could have just slept with him and escaped while he was sleeping.
Hey, I've never frowned on any woman that's done that to me.
No, I'm trying to remember. What do you mean by reject? When was that? What was going on?
Because they get back from the trip and they go to the hotel room and she's like, and he says something about, I can't remember what he says, like maybe get a drink or something. And she's like, oh, I'm going to pass. I'm going to bed, whatever. I need to be alone right now.
That's what it was.
Yeah, that's all part of the ruse. I think they both knew it. Or rather, he knew that she,
Yeah, and that definitely tipped him off that, she's going to make her escape now, and he was waiting for her. But also, I feel like she should have just slept with him again before she escaped. I don't know why she didn't. They also mentioned that this took place over a week, which unless it took like 2.5 days to get to the caves and then 2.5 days back, I don't know how this was a week. It felt more like a day and a half to me.
Yeah, I agree. But I guess, yeah, they probably didn't show us a lot of like Picard at the all-you-can-eat buffet.
Right.
And, eating a chimichanga or whatever.
I mean, he was still only a few pages into Ulysses when Vash approached him, and then they went off on their hike.
He'd already finished the other book. That's
what it was. The first couple of days,
he had like 3 books with him.
So. Okay, there you go, Keith. You solved it.
First 2 days, 1 book.
I did think it was weird that Vash hid the crystal in a random statue in a table of statues that people take statues from.
Right.
At any point, anybody could have just picked it up and walked away with it, unless she had a GPS chip on it.
When Sovak was trying to bribe her, he was offering her gold.
Yeah.
So is that
her weight in gold?
Right. But I mean, is that like a currency still?
For the Ferengi deal in gold latinum.
I was about to say gold latinum in DS9, and I was.
The Ferengis never went off the gold standard. They have their own Fort Knox. Somewhere.
Oh no, we'll see in Deep Space Nine. They actually carry around physical slips of gold and pay for things with them.
That's hilarious.
So
one of the questions I had was gold is actual currency. Hey, was there gold latinum on DS9?
Yes, yes, there was.
Yes.
Now that is outrageous. Why wouldn't they just carry around paper? Their currency.
Picard was just going to hand over the statue to the Vorgons, which again, it felt like he really believed them, which was ridiculous. Until Vash was like, "Oh, how are you sure they are who they say they are?" And then he's like, "Oh, I hadn't thought of that."
That's probably the biggest plot hole, at least in my
opinion.
Was
the dumbest. Picard was only dumb when it came to them, and that was annoying.
About currency, I guess I never really thought about that. I mean, was there a danger of the replicator being able to just make whatever? I mean, as far as whatever money they would need for something?
Starfleet doesn't use money. They have credits that they only use when they're dealing with non-Starfleet people that are just like electronic currency in a bank account somewhere they can transfer. Rise is not Star Federation, but it is. So they probably have to deal with lots of currencies. Yeah, gold latinum, there has to be some way you can't replicate it for sure, but I'm not sure what exactly. So we do have an issue with this story that affects many, many, many time travel stories, in that apparently in their history, Picard destroyed the crystal, and they saw him destroy the crystal, and they're like, "Oh darn, we missed it," and then they leave. And it's like, no, go back in time 5 minutes, sneak up behind him and grab it.
Right.
Why did you just give up right then and there if you're time travelers?
Yeah, that's like, I finally finished Rick and Morty. That's one of those things Rick and Morty, they always solve. They just go back another couple minutes.
Yeah.
And like, oh, all right, now we're here. And they take care of it.
There's no reason time travelers should fail on things like this.
No.
It looked like by the time this episode ended that Picard really destroyed the crystal, but we all agree that he didn't destroy it, right? He just beamed it up.
I don't know.
Because he told Riker
that maneuver.
That's what I thought happened, yeah.
But he just beamed it up and then exploded, beamed something else down to explode. Definitely.
There's something I forgot to write because I must have gotten a little distracted at the very end. Did he do a captain's log to state the things that he had done?
No.
My idea was that that's where the future aliens were getting that information from, like maybe from his captain logs about like what happened.
I mean, he probably did, but I also think it seemed pretty clear to me that he got the crystal because he told Riker to do the transporter thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me. I mean, I don't think he told Riker to transport an explosion and destroy it, but I could be wrong because this episode ends without ever mentioning that the crystal might still exist.
Right.
Yeah.
And I thought Vash should have been like, I mean, she heard Picard say something about transporter. She should have been like, "Oh, I know what you did. You've got it up in the D." Maybe they deal with that on her next episode. I don't know.
Is that the thing they called like a 14 maneuver 14 or something?
Transport code 14, or was it transporter?
Yes, there's a Memory Alpha article on it. It was used to destroy an object while being dematerialized in a transporter beam. According to Memory Alpha, that's it. There's no follow-up on this. It was destroyed. The Tox Utat, which makes no sense to me.
No.
I mean, I don't know.
It's a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
That I guess should be destroyed, but just the way it was destroyed didn't feel like...
It was anticlimactic, you think?
No, it didn't feel like he'd just really destroy it. It felt, especially using the transporter, it felt like it was a fake out.
I mean, I guess I bought it because I thought that he just wanted to be done with it.
Picard back on the bridge with Riker and just Riker asking if he had a good time. And he just going, yeah, that was the way you had to end it.
But doesn't Riker say, I knew you'd have a great time?
Yeah.
I love that. I just thought it was Riker's excitement throughout about this other person going there. It's like, that's great. And then what we don't see is the whole next hour. It's like, hey, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Because when I went there, I loved it.
So while I'm still on Memory Alpha, and while it is the official canon just has that it was destroyed, there's a Star Trek Online game. It's called Star Trek Online. They put in new chapters of the game. And in that game, we saw Caldano, who came from the 31st century to save his ancestors and buried the Toxotot on this planet for Picard to find.
Nice.
And then in a future Star Trek Online edition, because they keep putting out new chapters, they reveal that Picard didn't fake its destruction and sent it to a secure vault beneath Starfleet headquarters. And then it's eventually brought to the 26th century where it's installed aboard the USS Enterprise J. So those aren't canon, but they to pick up a storyline that should have been a storyline.
I mean, I like that. I mean, it's good that they left it open-ended to that extent so that somebody could do something with the canon later if they really wanted to.
It'd be better if they actually did something with the canon. You don't leave holes like that and don't follow up.
Speaking of them digging, I only have a couple more notes, and these are a couple of them. But those shovels were so cheap. Those were like the shovels you get when somebody buys you a cheap. Actually, I shouldn't cast aspersions, but somebody buys you one of those, but driving emergency things, like in case something happens, there's a shovel in here, and you have to kind of screw it together. And
it's all they had in the gift shop.
Yeah, that must be.
Because you just play on the beach, you don't dig up. But to be fair, I think that's the same argument you make with the pillows. They had to haul them over a long period.
Oh, that's true. So the smaller space, that's true.
Yeah.
Sovek goes down there and starts digging after they leave, but he's not digging down or anything. He's just randomly throwing dirt from the pile that they had already thrown dirt on. So I called it desperate shoveling, which I think would be would have been a great 90s album title.
I thought it was weird the whole time he shoveled. He kept going, my precious, my precious.
Yeah, that too. I only have two other notes. One was Daystrom Institute gets mentioned again.
Yep.
Which was cool. I love that callback. And this might be a Star Trek ripping off Star Wars. The ball that came around to Picard looked very much like the thing that Luke first uses his lightsaber in the Millennium Falcon in A New Hope episode 4.
When they said it was just a ball they were playing with, I dismissed it because at first I thought it was like a drone server that took his drink order or something.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
which would have been a better use of it, in my opinion.
I agree. I wish the resorts we went to had those.
But you already said your alternate episode. I think my alternate episode is I just want to see Kirk on Ryza because that would be a very different episode. Or Kirk trying to get Spock to relax on Ryza. He, Bones, and Spock take it as a boys' vacation, and they riddle Spock and they try to get him. And then at the end he does like embrace it slightly, and it's a big humorous moment. It'd be great. I
actually had an alternate that you guys skated by earlier. My alternate was that this was all just taking place on the holodeck.
Oh, yeah.
Like the idea, like they knocked him out and he woke up there or something,
and the even if this program Vash to be the perfect intrigue for Picard.
Yeah, something like that.
I think for that alternate Spock episode that the Drogden or whatever from the Cloud Minders ends up running into her there, and so Spock's like, you know what, you guys are right, and then they never see Spock for the rest of the week. They're there because he's hanging out with her, and talking about highfalutin stuff and also doing not highfalutin stuff with her.
This episode was directed by Chip Chalmers, who will direct 4 episodes of Next Gen, this being his first, as well as 2 episodes of Deep Space Nine. So not a main Trek director, but he's around. It was written by Ira Steven Burr. Ira Steven Burr is one of the co-creators and showrunner, and he became the showrunner of Deep Space Nine. So we've got that. I mean, maybe that's why Vash and Max Gruncheck went over to Deep Space Nine eventually. Not together, but but he's a really good mind, and so I see where maybe a little bit of fingerprint on him where he's breaking the canon a little bit and trying to do something a little different, which is kind of neat. This is his only next gen credit. He has a written by credit, but he does have a teleplay by credit for yesterday's Enterprise, which we watched, and the second Vash episode next year, Cupid. He's got a teleplay by as well. All right, Stephen Burr, love him.
What I put in the chat?
Pardon me, are you Ira Burr, sir?
Yes.
And he's a bursar. No. Yeah, ranking the episode. Wesley wasn't in this, so we can't say he was annoying at all. But who was your annoyance in this episode?
I mentioned Sovek was mine, and to back that up, Picard even says that he's annoying. Like I said, I did end up enjoying the character, but he was annoying, but in a fun way eventually. So to me, I did enjoy him. I've come around on the Ferengi. That's for sure.
You gotta use them right. And Next Gen really struggled in its early days to use them right. They can be a bit of a threat, but you need to lean into the humor aspect or else they don't work.
Yeah.
Keith, your annoyance?
Wow, I don't know. I mean, Ferengi seems like the obvious choice.
You can go if you want. I'm going to choose the Vorgons. I mean, I really want to be annoyed with Picard's actions toward them, but just they themselves, they were annoying to me. I'm not even sure we really needed them in this episode. I think we could have just Vash and Sovak and Picard done something there.
Yeah.
Crushes of Star Trek. Steven, are you changing?
I was very, very tempted, but I'm going to stay with Mrs.
Apgar.
Apgar.
Well, I'm going to Vash wholeheartedly.
Yeah. I'm kind of disappointed in myself here because I was tempted all over the place during this episode, but I went with Joval.
Oh yeah,
the woman who actually worked there.
Yeah,
with the ball. That.
Yeah, she was cute.
And we just see her in the one scene, and then we never see her again, right?
Yeah. That seemed like a strange.
Joval played by Deirdre Emersheen.
The one that Stephen was looking up earlier.
Yes.
She actually guest stars in an episode of DS9 as well, Trials and Tribulations. That's a big one. As Lieutenant Watley.
I think the character named Vash sounds like maybe not a portmanteau, but it sounds like a reference to something.
To me, it sounds violent, almost like Slash or like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Depending on how
Gash. It sounds like Gash. Yeah.
Yeah, and now
I think that's what he's. I think
we're getting to my portmanteau, and now we're really on that fine line of not being explicit. So I'm not going to be explicit. I'm going to say it's a clumsy portmanteau.
Perhaps,
as most of them are. But
perhaps.
Well, to
portmanteau,
make
in case you're wondering, according to Merriam-Webster, is a large suitcase.
Oh well.
Second definition: a word or morpheme whose form and meaning are devolved from a blending of two or more distinct forms.
Well, to make one of my own from what I thought Stephen was saying at first, I would say that it's a poor man's portmanteau.
No, that's good.
Good, Keith.
Thank you.
Good job. Ranking the episode, Keith. Where are we going to start? This is why we don't usually start with Keith. He doesn't want us to.
Yeah, it's okay. It's number 3. I don't know. It's low to high middle. It's hard for me to say what
low to high middle.
Yes.
So somewhere in the middle.
If you want to go in the middle of that, I guess you could.
Okay, let's start around Booby Trap. Seems as good a place as any for Steven's portmanteau.
Sigh.
I mean, that's the alternate title for Ryza, right? Booby Trap.
Yeah, exactly. Booty Trap is what I would call Ryza. Then again, but now we're just this is
semantics.
Wordplay. Yeah, I'd go lower than Booby Trap.
Yeah. I mean,
Vash and Leah Brahms, 2 great female guest stars. But
I think we're already in range, though.
Okay.
I think.
Right below that is last week's episode, Allegiance.
I might put this one above, but I think it's around there.
Me too. I think I might go above as well.
Yeah, I think I would go above. I'm kind of divided on Booby Trap, honestly, above or below.
Yeah.
But if you both say below, I'll go below. I'm not willing to fight for it.
What's above Booby Trap? What's
a matter of perspective, which I would definitely say this is weaker than that.
Keith, I gave you an opening there.
I'm not going to do it. I was thinking about it. I was like, this would have to happen like every time it comes up. We had to put that episode there just for that reason. So you can never. It's so hard to decide whether you go above or below, a matter of perspective.
I think Captain's Holiday has landed where it belongs. I think I'm okay.
Number 11 of 19 so far.
Okay.
So a little bit lower than the
Sounds
middle.
All right.
But I do think A Matter of Perspective is number 9 or number 8. And I feel like that's a really strong episode, in my opinion. So the fact that we're even like that number 10 is only a couple below a really strong 8 really strong episodes this season. That's pretty darn good.
Was that the Apgar episode?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I thought it was really strong.
Yeah.
Cool. Next week, we'll be talking Tin Man. The Enterprise reaches out to an alien being while dancing around with the Romulans, who attack it in an act of vengeance. I don't know who wrote that IMDb episode description, but dancing around with the Romulans is not exactly how I describe that episode.
No.
Okay, well, we'll talk about Tin Man next week. Until then, live long.
Hey, have fun on Rise Away if you go.
And make plenty of portmanteaus.
And prosper.
It's All Been Done presents.
Who's got the time?